Welcome to Real Talk Realtors, the podcast where we dive deep into the world of real estate with a mission to empower and educate realtors like you to build thriving businesses rooted in integrity and community. I'm Laura.
And I'm Amanda. We are two seasoned real estate agents in the Dallas-Fort Worth market. Together, we are dedicated to elevating the real estate industry, making a real positive impact on our communities. Get ready for candid discussions, expert interviews, and a healthy dose of inspiration.
Okay, we're good?
Yes.
Hey, Amanda.
Hey, Laura.
How's it going?
Good.
Good. We are all comfy and cozy here today. We decided we were just going to keep it casual.
Yes.
We got blankies. If you're not watching and you're just listening, we're cozy on the couch with some blankies and pillows.
It's just nice. Why not?
It's nice. Well, what are we talking about today?
Okay, so today I'm excited because we are talking about why agents get a bad rep. So many people think that, oh, you're a real estate agent, or, they just it just has a negative vibe.
It does. It's like sometimes we get compared to like a used car salesman.
Yeah, gross.
Not a good thing.
No.
And there's so many things. There's so many things on this. I think we have, let me actually check this time because last episode I messed that up, but we have 10. We have 10 things that agents do or don't do that kind of give us a bad reputation in the industry and with the public. Yeah. And let's just start by saying, in order for us to do our jobs and do them well, we have to have people trusting us.
Yes.
But it's hard to get people to trust you when there's all these other realtors out there just doing things however they want to do them, not abiding by the rules, or they've got commission breath.
They're
just
the worst.
Out to make a buck, and they don't care who they walk over.
Yeah, they're all about themselves.
In the meantime to get it. So we're really hoping that by addressing these 10 things, maybe we can make a little leeway in our industry.
Yes.
To just get everybody on the same page. Let's just do things the right way.
And ultimately with the whole podcast, that's that's a big reason why we wanted to do this.
Yes.
Because
it will really make all of our jobs easier if we all just do the right thing.
Yes, it would be so much nicer.
Half the battle to this job is like just getting people to trust you, because there's such a bad just reputation sometimes around being a realtor. So let's dive right in.
Okay.
We
kind of mentioned this on last week's podcast. Refuse to say, well, I've been in the business 20 years.
So yes. So seasoned agents, those of you who got your license many years ago, and you feel like that has earned you some kind of whatever, like, get over it.
Nobody cares.
Nobody cares how many years you've been in the business. What we care about is how many transactions have you done? What kind of experience do you have? Just because you're licensed 25,000 years ago doesn't mean you've done anything in real estate.
Can you use those skills to negotiate and get both parties on the same page? Or are you kind of like nope, this is the way it's going to be? Sometimes
too many years in the business can actually be a bad thing.
Yeah.
Because we can get stuck in our ways at times. And real estate is an ever-changing industry.
Absolutely.
So if you're not always on top of the changes, you can get left behind and actually be doing things the wrong way.
Yes,
so
absolutely. Yeah.
I guess the point to that is, let's stay humble and always be open to learning and growing. And I feel like it's a mindset thing. If you're telling people, I've been in the business this many years, you likely have a mindset of, I know it all. I don't need your help. I have no room for growth or to learn anything. And once you have that mindset,
it's hard.
It's over. Like, you have to always be learning. And we talked about that in last week's episode.
It's so important to always be learning.
That every single transaction, I'm learning something new.
Yep.
I still have agents in our office that will ask me a question, and I'm like, I actually don't know.
Yeah. I still ask questions.
Yes. Like, in our group chat constantly. Something will come up that I don't know the answer to. So just have a growth mindset, have a learning mindset. Yes. Always be ready to learn from someone, and don't be so arrogant or have such an ego that you feel like you can't learn from somebody that's just started or has been in the business less time than you.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Because those new agents, man, they can have a lot of drive.
They can. And they're constantly
hungry.
in classes. They're fresh out of real estate school, so they may know some things that you don't.
Yeah, absolutely.
Plain and simple.
Yep.
All right, number 2. Oh gosh, this one is so important. Never make a decision for your client.
Yep.
So
I have a story about this one.
Okay, I'm excited to hear your story. So I feel like, though, for me, you can have a conversation with your client and really feel like you understand what it is they're wanting. And then a question will be asked, maybe an offer comes in something, and you're like, oh no, I know that they won't accept that.
Yes.
Red flag. Do not do that. You present everything to your client and you let them decide.
That's exactly it, because you think, oh, I've been working with them, I know what they're going to say, but they can completely blow your mind and be like, okay, or you know. And so that was kind of where I was heading towards, because I know at one point in my career, I've been like, oh no, like my clients, this is not going to be okay. Or I've even said, okay, they should be fine with this. And then I go back to them and they're like, nope.
Yeah, we're not
so
doing
then
that.
You're like foot in mouth.
Yeah.
And it's not a good look.
It is so much harder to go back to the other side and say, I'm so sorry I misspoke, but I've done it.
Yes.
I've had to do it before. I had a conversation with a client. Okay, so this was after inspections. We were still standing in the house, and they had said something along the lines of, you know what, inspection wasn't that bad. If they'll just leave the fridge, we'll be happy. And so I was like, great. So we left. I told the other agent, hey, if they'll just leave the fridge, we're good.
Yes.
Well, they hadn't had a chance to fully look over the report yet. They came back and they were like, actually, we want
this, and this.
We want these 4 things plus the fridge.
Yeah.
Do you know how much harder it was to negotiate at that point?
Yes.
Coming back and saying, sorry, I misspoke. They actually, and the agent appreciated that I was like, hey, this is my fault.
Right.
I made a mistake. I'm so sorry that I misspoke. And so
you're just not blaming it on your clients being like, no, now they actually want this,
and
this.
He said, he was like, you know what? The fact that you didn't just blame it on them and you took responsibility, like that says a lot. And so we were able to negotiate it out, but it was a lot harder coming from that.
Absolutely.
And so I should have just kept my mouth shut, got it in writing, let my people sign it, and then you send it over, because things can change all the way up until signatures.
Yes.
So, all right, what's number 3?
Make the deal a good deal for all parties.
Yeah.
You don't want one party feeling like they are being screwed over.
Nope.
And I try to reiterate this with all my clients on the buy and on the sell side, because you can have a client who is like so hard head, like, and they want the last say. So you have to kind of figure out like what is most important for both parties and see how we can give and take to make both parties happy. And most of the time, you know, it's not going to be the same exact thing that you're wanting. So that's why you have to go back and negotiate, and don't be afraid of negotiating.
Yeah. I think there's a difference between getting your client a good deal, because that's a thing. Like, we want to negotiate a good deal for them without screwing the other side over. So like, I guess an example of this would be like, you never want to try and pull one over.
No, absolutely not. No.
You know, we want to disclose things. We want to make sure all parties have all the information.
Yes.
We want to make sure that we're being completely honest and upfront, and that everybody understands what they're getting themselves into. We never want to try to negotiate something from a position of like, well, if they don't know that, then we can get away with it and then we can get a better deal. You know, like, you never want that mindset. So just disclosing, making sure everybody understands, everybody's happy with that, and moving forward. So there's a difference between negotiating a good deal and like getting away with something.
Yes. Yeah.
So for sure on that. Just make sure that everybody is informed, everybody's happy with what's going on, and moving forward in a direction together.
Yeah, because there's a couple of points in the contract where you're negotiating stuff. And so, especially right up front, you know, you want to put on your best foot. So.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, number 4. Don't overpromise and underdeliver.
This is a good one.
Yes. So I know for me, I like to kind of give my clients almost the bare minimum of what I know for sure I'm going to do. Knowing in my head, I will probably have 5 other things that I'll also do, and it will be icing on the cake.
Yes. Yep.
So, like, I will tell them from the get-go, hey, I'm going to call you as a seller. I'm going to call you every Monday, every Friday. I'm going to call them every Monday and every Friday. Maybe I'll also call them on a Saturday. Maybe I'll also text them on a Wednesday. But
do what you say you're going to do.
The bare minimum, I will call you 2 times a week, no matter what. Well, guess what? It will happen every week, no matter what. Yep. Even if I'm like at the grocery store or my kids are home that day and climbing all over me, whatever, it's going to happen because I said it would.
Yes.
So I would say come up with like the minimum, like no matter what, I'm doing these things, communicate those things, do those things, but then also over deliver. So do extra, go above and beyond. That's how you get that like customer service.
And you build that trust.
Yes.
Yeah. The client experience, that wow experience.
Mm-hmm. The wow experience is the over deliver. The trust is built in the promising and delivering. Yep. So that is every single time you say you're going to do something and then you do it, you're building trust.
Yeah.
But it takes one time of saying you're going to do something and not that all trust is gone.
Yep.
So even like, yeah, I'm going to get that written up and sent over to you sometime today. If you don't do it and they're waiting and waiting and waiting and you do it the next day or 3 days later.
Hey, I thought
you were going to send that thing over. It's like, oh yeah, I'm so sorry. Yes. I'm going to get it. I promise. Well, now they don't believe you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So make sure if you say you're going to do something,
absolutely
do it.
Yeah.
Do it and do it quickly. Mm-hmm. So, okay.
Number 5. So don't act like you know everything because it's okay to not know stuff.
Yep.
Like we kind of said earlier, there's things that we don't know and we still ask questions. Yep. And every transaction is new and different. And so you are constantly learning. Yeah.
It's so much better to tell somebody, hey, I don't know, but let me find the answer for you, than to make something up and try to like BS your way through it.
Yep.
You can get yourself into a lot of trouble that way.
Oh, yeah.
And so this goes back to, how do we get a bad rep? Well, it's from stuff like that. Like just making stuff up or sounding like you know what you're talking about when you don't.
And you have no clue.
I would much rather somebody tell me, hey, I don't know the answer to that, but I'm going to find out for you.
Absolutely.
Great. Yeah, we're all learning together. And sometimes I tease that, like, hey, we're all learning together. We're going to figure this out together, you know? Yes. And so that kind of builds that like bond too, that like we're in this together. We'll figure it out. But yeah, definitely don't ever make something up.
No.
Don't be like, well, I heard one time, I think maybe.
Because you're really not going to look good if you say something and then it's really something different.
You know what's funny? Sometimes there are clients that have a lot of real estate knowledge, and sometimes they're just kind of testing you. Like they might ask something they kind of already know the answer to or feel like they know the answer to. I've had somebody do that to me before. And if you give an answer just out of trying to BS your way through it, they're going to see right through it.
Yeah.
They're going to know. So
yep, absolutely.
Don't do that. All right, what's number 6?
If you're new, don't try to manage a new area, a contract, a deal, a category on your own. So it's so important that you always have a mentor.
Yep.
Especially, we're supposed to know the area that we are serving. And so
it's kind of the whole reason people call us.
Yes.
Because we're supposed to have that expertise and that knowledge.
Yeah. You don't want to go. It's kind of like going to a specialist, going to go see a specialist. Like you don't want to go to an eye surgeon for your foot.
Yeah.
Like
that would be ridiculous.
You want to go see that specialist.
For sure. Well, and I don't know about every state, but here in Texas, the Texas Real Estate Commission actually requires that you have a mentor for the first 3 transactions of anything new. So that means like if I've never done land, I've only done residential, and somebody wants me to do land, I better have a mentor that I can ask questions to and that will audit my paperwork and make sure that we're doing things the right way. Same thing for an area. If I always work in Keller, Texas, and somebody asks me to work 2 hours away, I can do that, but I better have a mentor from that area that is knowledgeable in that area that I can ask questions to. I would say don't waste your time with it. Just refer it out. But if you're like
if
desperate
that's
and you
somewhere
have
something you want to learn,
Yeah.
you know.
If I've never done commercial,
Yeah.
that is a whole nother world.
Oh,
You for sure better have a
yes.
mentor for if you're going to
Absolutely.
switch over to that level. But if I've never done commercial, I'm going to have a mentor to walk me through that. So especially for your first 3 transactions, they're supposed to be supervised. Okay. Number 7, never put your commission above your client's best interest.
Absolutely.
Don't have commission breath.
Yeah.
So this one's kind of hard sometimes because we do this to make money.
Yes.
Bottom line, like
It is a job. It's an income.
I do love this job. I love helping people. I love working with people. But I do it to make money. But even with that, I would never put my clients into a home or into a bad situation just because I needed a check.
Paycheck, yeah.
Yeah. And if you're getting to the point where you're feeling that desperate, it might be time to like take a step back and relook at like, should I be doing this? Do I need a second job?
Yes.
Do I need some sort of supplemental income to get me through? You never want to be so desperate that you're willing to sacrifice your client to make money.
No, absolutely not. And sometimes, you know, I've seen it happen before where, oh, let's get them into this house. It looks great. It's perfect. It's at the top of their budget. But then those people, and you realize, and you know, like, no, like they should not be having this monthly payment.
Yeah.
And come down the road, you know, they end up having to sell because they can't afford that house.
Yeah.
Like, that's not...
They're not going to be happy with you. They're not going to be calling you to sell their house.
Yeah.
Why did you guide me into this? Yeah.
You pressured me.
I know. Some of those conversations can be hard to have too with clients. And sometimes it's just as simple as maybe having a conversation with the lender.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, they love this house. This is the price point. I'm not so sure.
Yeah, because the lender's there to talk numbers and money.
Yeah. So like, I'm not so sure this is a good fit for them, and let the lender have that conversation with them. You don't necessarily even have to have the conversation, but looking out for them and seeing those pitfalls.
Yes.
And at least bringing it up. And then if they still want to make that decision, I wouldn't be like, well, I'm not going to do this for you.
Yeah, I mean, it is ultimately their decision.
It's ultimately their decision, but like us being able to see some of those things, because for us, it's a transaction. For them, it's emotional.
Yes.
And sometimes when you're emotional, you can make bad decisions. And so just kind of, you know,
guiding them and making sure that they know.
You're the reason in this, and the logic. They don't have a lot of reason and logic when they're looking at their dream home. So just being willing to have those conversations, even if it means the deal falls apart.
Yeah.
I've had to learn over the years that even if a transaction falls apart, it's either going to, we're going to move on to another house and it will eventually close, or maybe they are like, pull out altogether and they're like, we can't do this right now.
Yeah.
They'll eventually come back. I need closings next year too.
Yes.
Or 2 years from now also, or maybe they refer somebody to you. So I don't think it's ever just like a lost cause.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you don't want someone to, you know, especially they'll fall apart kind of during option period a lot of times. Sometimes it's after option period and there's not much you can do about it. But
sometimes it's at the closing table.
Yeah, sometimes it is at the closing table. So don't ever count on that paycheck until it's deposited into your account.
Yes, for sure. All right, what's number 8?
Okay, number 8. Never give legal advice. You are not an attorney.
Guys, I don't know how many ways that we can drive this home.
Yeah.
We didn't go to law school.
So what are some examples that you can give?
Paragraph 11 in the contract for here in Texas. It is special provisions. And guess what it is? It's just a blank. You can write in whatever you want, but you shouldn't. You should never write anything in there if it was not drafted by an attorney.
Or
plain and simple.
Your client can write in there.
Your client can write in there, but you know what? I even advise them, don't do that.
Yep.
Because now you're practicing law. And when it comes down to there's a problem in the transaction and now we're having to go a legal way, if it's not written correctly and you have good experience
absolutely
with this, it can turn into a huge mess.
Yeah.
You turn into a huge mess. You want to be very clear if you are adding anything to that contract.
That's especially like why with repair amendments, like too, like you have got to be so clear. If you are asking for a repair to be done, on who's doing it, exactly what's to be done, and what the expectations are, afterwards. Do not be so generic that if I were to give it to my mom, she would know exactly what that means. Like, you want, without a doubt, to know exactly what that means in that repair amendment.
Especially with repair amendments, I include everything that I can. So, like, if we're asking for a leaky sink to be fixed, I would include pictures from the inspection on there. I would include the verbiage from the inspector, and then I would also say leaky sink in the kitchen to be repaired or replaced by a licensed plumber 5 days prior to closing. Provide
timeline.
Receipt, like as many details as you can. If there's more than one sink in the kitchen, specify which sink, like where is it located, what color is it, what brand is it. You don't want there to be any
interpretation where somebody can be like, well, that's not what that meant, or that's not what that said.
If you're asking for appliances to be left behind, like a refrigerator,
include
the make and model. If there's any other identifying factors, because if you say leave the fridge that's in the kitchen,
they're going to take that new one and leave you that old garage one.
They're going to swap it right out. They said, well, you didn't say which fridge I had to leave. You have to be so specific.
Absolutely.
So definitely be with those repair amendments. That's where we have a little bit more leeway to write things out. Be very specific. Be very, very intentional on that. Anywhere else, we're not writing things in.
Yeah.
We're just not. If your client is very adamant about, like, I want it to say this and I want it to go in there, great. You write it up. I will copy paste it into the contract. It's my advice that we get an attorney to review this. But if you feel comfortable moving forward, fine. But just like maybe have that in writing or something.
Put it out there.
Yeah.
This is what you advise.
Yeah. I just, I think sometimes we get into this mindset of like, we're supposed to be the expert and we're supposed to provide all this guidance and knowledge. And we get confused with what type of guidance we're supposed to be.
Yeah, because we know, like, what we think we would do or say, but it can very easily come across as giving legal advice. So there's a fine line, and you just have to be really careful you don't overstep it.
And I actually say to my clients quite a bit, hey, I'm not an attorney. I'm not trying to provide legal advice. So, like, maybe get this checked by an attorney, but this would be my advice. Do we want to pull in the attorney from the title company and just ask and make sure that they're on board with this or whatever?
Absolutely. There's no harm in doing that.
Yeah, especially if it's something I've never dealt with before. It can get a little dicey.
Yes.
So don't practice law.
Yeah.
All that to say, don't be an attorney unless you want to go to law school. Then you can do that. Okay, number 9.
Okay. This is a good one, especially for new agents. You just closed on your first deal. You have a big paycheck. Remember, that paycheck is probably your paycheck for a couple of months. And so do not spend that full paycheck. It's not really all of yours. You have to delegate it to your taxes, to marketing, to future business transactions. So remember, you are a business. So
as soon as I get a commission check, I have a separate account, goes in my business account, but I actually have like 4 different bank accounts for my business. And so it gets divided up immediately. So 20 to 25% goes into my taxes account. We've got a marketing account. I've got an investment account. I've got my operating expenses account. And so I try to keep like a certain number of months worth of operating expenses in the operating account. The 20 to 25% in the taxes. I think I do 10% to marketing, and then whatever's left gets to go into my investment account, and then we get to do like investing and stuff with that money. So that's the way that we structure it in our family. And then like I pay myself out of the operations account as an employee of the business. So that's just kind of how we have it structured.
We're very, very much the same.
So just making sure that you're divvying up that check. And it doesn't mean you can't celebrate and have like a nice meal or go buy yourself something or whatever when you have a closing, but just save some of that money. For sure. And then number 10, last one.
Oh, this is a good one.
Oh, it's so good. Don't burn bridges with other agents.
Don't do it because It's a small world, and even though there are thousands of real estate agents probably in your area, chances are you're going to be working with agents more than once.
Yep.
So
many times I've worked a deal with a realtor more than once. And I've had run-ins with agents before on a transaction where it just didn't end well. We did not get along. I tried everything that I could, and it was just like, whatever. It just didn't go well. And then down the road, my client is super interested in the house, and I look it up, and lo and behold, who's the listing agent? But that realtor that I just did not get along with, and it's just like,
you dread it.
Man, I gotta call them and talk to them, and it's not good. So yeah, anytime that I can, I'm just trying to play nice.
Yes.
Everybody gets along, and transactions just go smoother that way.
They do. They really do.
You have more negotiation power. You really just have a better opportunity to represent your client well. Yes. If everybody gets along.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, and you can and it can go wrong with when you're in that first negotiation stage, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I recently had a contract where the agent there was a lot of negotiation going back and forth, and both parties were having to give and give and give, and so the other agent on the other side though was so nice, mm-hmm. and just willing to, okay, let's put our heads together. How can we make this work? Yeah. We both wanted the transaction to work. Yeah. And so, but it's hard to do that if one agent is total.
And there's been times where I've been the hothead maybe, and just kind of I get frustrated. Maybe I've said something, and one specific agent was so good at because it was a really rough transaction. It was very difficult, and I would get frustrated, and she was very disarming. And she was just so nice mm-hmm. that it would disarm me, and I would calm down, and then we would all just talk about it and get along.
Yes.
And so I actually learned a lot from her, and I'm able to now do that better.
Yes.
In other transactions of
yeah, it's easy when one person comes at you hot-headed. It's easy to kind of butt up
and right back.
Yes.
Come right back. But she was just so calm and just kind and disarming, and I would calm down instantly and be like, okay, you're right. Let's figure this out.
Yes.
Move forward. She was great. So I learned a lot from that, but just being able to take a step back. It's okay. Mm-hmm. Just calm down. Let's figure this out. Get through. So,
yeah.
All right. 10 things, that we can all be better at and help make this industry better.
Yes.
Help people trust us more. It'll make all of our jobs easier.
It will.
So any last minute thoughts or ideas?
Just be a good person.
Be a good person. That's ultimately what this is. Be kind.
Yes.
Have integrity.
Yep.
Don't be a sleaze. That's really all we can say.
Don't give everyone else a bad rep.
Yeah. Oh, and you know what? Share with other agents the knowledge and insight and things that you have. Don't be afraid to
oh, yes.
If something great works and you found this new marketing technique or tactic or way to do things that works really well for you, share it with other people.
Absolutely, yes. Don't be a gatekeeper.
Yeah. What is that saying that ships rise? What's the tide? Something about a tide rising with the ships. All ships rise. Something. You guys know what I'm saying.
I don't know, but when you are in that scarcity mindset, you're going to stay in that scarcity mindset, and you're not going to get an abundance of jobs coming at you. If you are open and you're nice and caring, you're going to open up the doors to just such a better real estate career.
A rising tide lifts all boats.
Yes.
And it says, it's the idea that an improved economy will benefit all participants.
Absolutely.
And that economic policy, particularly government economic policy, should therefore focus on broad efforts.
Yes.
If I get better alone, it only makes me a little bit better. If me and every agent in our brokerage gets better, it gives our brokerage a better rep and reputation, which brings in more leads, and we all grow together, and it helps the industry as a whole as more people start to trust agents because we're all great, which will eventually bring in more business for me. So there is nothing bad about sharing the information that you have with others.
I totally agree.
Cool.
Yes.
All right. Well, this has been great. We're so glad that you guys joined us today. Be sure to subscribe so that you get notified whenever we release our next episode.
Yeah.
We'll see you guys next time.
Take care.
Bye.